been in the orchestra since the 1980s, so you were here in the original concert hall in the Kennedy Center, and then after the changes were made. What's your impression of the hall and where it was and what it is now?
Right. The hall when I came in 1982 was, first of all, it looked very different. We didn't have a shell on top. It was a different coloring, and I think the seats in the audience were different. We had one more tier up on top. I think they moved the stage forward a bit. We didn't have a rear section where people were in there. There was just a flat wall. It wasn't a gallery back there or on the sides, right near the stage. And it's always been a bit of a problematic concert hall, to be frank with you. In the older days, it would have, it's actually not a very projecting stage. And you always had a feeling you had to really put out sound to be heard. And then often the sound that came out was on the harsh side. Very high, bright treble instruments and not enough bass. I think the bass cellos always complain about not getting enough bass in the sound, so you don't get a balanced kind of warmth to the orchestra. And it's still a bit of a problem that way. I feel like there could be more bass. I think that right now it's clearer. It's marginally better on stage for hearing each other, but I think in the audience it's clearer. And still could use a little more warmth, you know. I think Carnegie Hall or Boston's Symphony Hall are particularly outstanding examples of resonant, rich, warm sound. We're not there yet, and but the clarity factor is good, and so that has been an improvement. We've of course experimented with many different stage setups to try to get kind of a good balance of brass and strings and movements to try to find a good setup. And
yes, I remember hearing Mahler 3 with Elon Fischer here or so ago, and the brass was over on the right, as I recall, but now you're centered. What's it feel like for you?
Yeah, in some ways it is better for us. Whether it's better for the orchestra, I don't know if I can make that call. The advantage of the Fischer setup was they had the basses in the back, where the bass sound is not as strong generally, but when they're in the back, it's pretty strong. It's nice. It's really good. But the problem is when the bass is back, that affects other things, like the brass. For instance, the horns are on one side and the trumpet trombones on the complete opposite side, and that's kind of weird. Not ideal. And also stacked trombones and trumpets one on back of each other. So it's hard for trombones and trumpets to play together because they're right back as they can't hear what we're doing, we can't react. So now we're in a line. So we're able to react to each other, sitting next to each other, especially with trumpets and trombones. And the horns are kind of in our area. So
was this Eschenbach's idea?
Yeah.
The present seat?
So I guess I can't speak for the basses, but them being over on the other side is, I don't know how it is for them. I haven't really talked to them, but the advantage before was the basses being in back had added to that rich bass sound, which was, I think, one of the main goals of that setup.
Well, you've had 3 or 4 weeks with Eschenbach this fall, and you had several weeks in previous seasons. What's your impression so far? What's the future look like under Eschenbach?
Interesting. He had a very good reputation for years, and including us. You know, I remember the first time we saw him, early '90s or something. He made a great impression on us. Right off, serious musician, meticulous, feeling, carried a real sound with him, a real sense of musical presence. And his concerts were very special. I remember them strongly. We did Baird 3 pieces, for instance, was memorable. The Rite of Spring, we did a Mendelssohn Symphony, and a couple of concerts we did when they made great impressions on us. They were big things. We thought he was a great guest. Then, of course, we had a music director, and I think he was one of our top candidates for a music director before Leonard Slatkin came. After Slava left, he was one of our top choices. Of course, he was just got into Houston, so he took himself out. But I think he would have been a strong candidate for a music director at that point. So we have a history going way back. In 1996, I played with the Chicago Symphony at Ravinia for a week, and he's the music director there, so he was out there. We did some Mahler and Schoenberg and Beethoven with him, and he was, again, I was very impressed. I've seen him, I've seen when the Philadelphia Orchestra's come here and watched him conduct, I think Mount 5th it was, in fact, within the last 5 years. Very powerful, and then to be honest with you, we've heard Philadelphia had a run with him, and you got to say it was rather short-lived and not the most, shall I say, amicable relationship. But that hasn't affected me in terms of what I've seen here. I'd say that we've had 3 very heavy, solid weeks. Beethoven, Bruckner, and Mahler. Obviously, he's very comfortable and feels strongly in that Germanic Austrian music. He feels that very strongly. We haven't ventured too outside of that repertoire, other than a contemporary piece we did, the Incas piece. So we've stuck with that. And he's very solid in that area, and he feels it comfortably. He's comfortable with it. He's imposed his sound on our orchestra. I think our sound has changed a bit, adapted. I mean, we are who we are, but he's put his stamp on it. And through again his face and his body language, there's an impression of sound, and I think we've responded to that. He's a very intense conductor. It's like you really are concentrating with something there, because he's doesn't allow. It's not a casual kind of lighthearted experience. It's very intense. The fact that he's just coming in here too and we want to make a good impression all adds to that. So that and the repertoire and his own demeanor is made for a very intense 3 weeks, I would say. Yeah.
With more to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's so much upset. He's going to be doing more Bruckner. We're going to be doing National Symphony every year. We'll do some of his contemporary music repertoire that he's talked about. So we're looking forward to the rest of the season.
Very good. Well, I certainly wish you well in the new era with Eschenbach, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Likewise.